Immediately following World War II, the Soviet Union emerged as one of the world's foremost superpowers. Under dictation of the ever-paranoid Joseph Stalin, the USSR demanded a pro-Soviet buffer zone in Eastern Europe, in territories liberated by the Red Army. The Western Allies, wary of conflict so soon after the war, complied. As a result, the Soviet sphere of influence, which Winston Churchill famously coined the Iron Curtain, extended out from Soviet Russia, across Romania, over Hungary, Poland, and stopping over a divided Germany, the USSR exerting influence over the eastern half. Despite its apparent might, with its large landmass, it was all but evident that the fiercely independent peoples of these satellite countries would not subject themselves to rule under a distant Moscow for long. With political, civil, and economic rights abuses being a common theme within the satellites of the new Soviet Empire, the scent of the air was ripe, for revolution was cooking. As Khrushchev gained power and instituted de-Stalinization, Hungary exploded in revolution in 1956, as workers and students pushed the Soviets out. The effort went in vain, as Russia crushed Hungary with an invasion. Such actions set the stage for Brezhnev and his re-Stalinization. This Brezhnev era was both harsh and aggressive, and reigned until the mid-1980s, when Mikhail Gorbachev burst into the scene.
So, in 1989, Gorbachev's perestroika led to many unintended results. Many of the satellite countries saw where it was going and decided to take a step further. The prime example of this would be Poland, where their organized solidarity group, spearheaded by Lech Walesa, led to many different results. Another great example would be in Czechoslovakia, where the Velvet Revolution, spearheaded by Václav Havel, led to the same results, such as agricultural, political, and economic reforms. Now, I'm not saying it was revolutionary, but it was revolutionary.
In the period after World War II, the communist nature of the Union was not as many would have liked to see it. In order to rectify this, Mikhail Gorbachev initiated perestroika, spawning an ideology book by the same name. With these reforms, the already unruly Poland, with its privatized agriculture and major presence of the Catholic Church, began to organize its own mission of mass politics. The first came by way of the Church. In 1978, Cardinal Karl Joseph Wojtyla gained the papacy, therefore affirming the central role of religion in his native country's society, despite the staunchly atheist USSR. John Paul II, as he became christened, became a celebrity in his own country and around the world, as a voice of democracy and religious freedom. Next, Lech Walesa organized workers, encouraging them to join an illegal labor union at a grassroots level. The subsequent movement, known as Solidarity, was affirmed by Pope John Paul, and enjoyed underground success, with its ideals circulated by regular newsletter publications. The group feared Soviets exercising the Brezhnev Doctrine, which permitted the Soviet Union to quell any uprising within her satellites at whim. Thus, instead of advocating for full-on violent revolution, Solidarity settled for numerous minor political concessions, and remained a peaceful institution. The Solidarity movement in Poland sparked similar movements in many other satellite territories under the USSR: Czechoslovakia, Romania, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, and East Germany were all key players in their democratic developments. Slowly but surely, all would taste the sweet milk of the goat of revolution. Solidarity candidates and other people were consistently winning positions of political power in landslide victories. Other reforms ensued, inspired by local reformers, émigré writers, and unwittingly Mikhail Gorbachev's perestroika. Although he had intended, ironically, to preserve the Soviet system by reform and liberalization, not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. Gone, it seemed, were the days of violent revolution, just one generation earlier. Peaceful and democratic changes of the late 80s were epitomized by Václav Havel's Velvet Revolution, characterized by mass demonstrations of pandemic proportions in the Czech streets. The communist elite were forced out, to be replaced by Havel. Besides other nations which followed peaceful suit of Poland, Romania deposed of their communists with brute force, becoming the only nation to do so violently in 1989. Although the end results of his perestroika were adverse, Gorbachev still refused to use military force to stop the revolutions. At the same time, Gorbachev did not allow a reformed election to take place in his own nation, holding steadfast to his communist principles. Finally, the symbolic end of Russian influence abroad, the Berlin Wall, was torn to the ground. East Germans, West Germans, and the world rejoiced, as the last stronghold of the Soviet Empire had fallen. Soon to follow was Soviet Russia, which by a series of failed coups deposed of Gorbachev and broke Greater Russia into self-governing, ethnically based sovereign nations. Thus a new, glorious European estate was constructed, powered in all its ethnically diverse rooms by roof-mounted justice panels, basking in the rays of democracy. For the brave citizens who had participated in its construction, they would never forget that the house of New Europe was built on the foundation of the solid rock of revolution.